welcome. These will be my thoughts on The Walking Dead Season 6, Episode 3. Thank you for tolerating my saying it wrong. The episode is rated CVMA, so this video there will be spoilers for the episode and every live-action episode of Walking Dead franchise leading up to it as well. Another episode that I absolutely fucking loved. I wanted to start by recommending Princess Week's fairly recent video. So part of the title is, and I quote, "An American Lie," unquote. And before that, it's called, quote, "The Tragic," unquote. And then a word that I understand that I, as a white person, should not be using, but those other 5 words should help you find it without any issue. And part of the reason that I am recommending a YouTube video by a female leftist is that it is Women's History Month, and that is also why I'm going to start by focusing on the female characters in this episode before talking about the rest. Yes, so really appreciate it, Annie. First she talks about the noble sacrifice, and then she goes and does it. Annie, you're okay. You're okay, Annie. I think that is pretty much, yeah. Then we have Michonne. And I really appreciated, like, yeah, you know, it's a difficult situation for her. She does, of course, want to save these people as much as at all possible, and certainly maintain the hope of those that she can't. And, you know, even has him keep the message to Betsy. And that was also, you know, she asked, "So, how long you been married?" You know, and as soon as he starts talking about it, it's like, oh, wow, you, we and her in the audience are like, you just had to humanize him so much before, because, like, we know he's a goner. Nobody walks away from a walker bite like that, so just, yeah. And I'm trying to learn people's names by research to sort of look up right now, but yeah, the one who greeted Eugene in the season opener, I think it was, yeah, with the who had been out of Alexandria for a little while. You know, he overheard that they are, you know, Rick saying that they should leave people behind, and, you know, yeah, she points out that's only the last resort. That is not our opening move. And points out, you know, I'm still here. I'm still standing, better than I've ever been. And yeah, the entire monologue where she lists off the various, you know, situations that she has experienced that he has not. Culminating in, you know, then you don't know. Yeah, just fantastic. I just want there to be an outtake where he goes like, okay, I don't think we should turn this into some kind of competition here. And yeah, I can hardly wait to see the next episode. They're doing a fantastic job. Like 3 episodes of this season, and can't stop thinking about and theorizing what's going to happen next. And just yeah. And I think that is, yeah, I believe those are. Oh, right. Yeah, there was a little bit with yeah. So in the car, I'm sorry, I'm really struggling to remember her name, but yeah, next to Abraham, you know, yeah, her trying to talk Daryl out of it and pointing out, you know, well, we can't stop you, but I mean, it would be appreciated if you know, and the sarcastic tone with, you know, hey Daryl, did you hear that? Rick is coming back. It's almost like you should have stayed with us, like we agreed. And I think that does cover the female characters for this episode. I am really digging the way that they are going back and forth between, you know, so first episode and this one about, you know, the trucker walkers and, yeah, outside of Alexandria. And then episode 2 was inside Alexandria. I can imagine it might even be the very next episode, but soon I figure we will be, you know, Rick's, yeah, Rick and those outside of Alexandria that were dealing with the trucker walkers will be back. Well, some of them rather, in Alexandria. And yeah, I think that does bring us to the I thought they did a fantastic job in this episode of just, you know, every so often we are reminded, you know, yep, there are a metric fuck ton, I rounded it down, of walkers headed towards Alexandria. And let's see, I guess that does pretty much, let's see, what was the very first scene of it? You know what, I think I will just go with the first thing I remember. But yeah, the group heading through the woods, you know, and trying, but yeah, several of them realizing this is not going to end well, and some of them do die, and we again have doubting Thomas, someone, you know, and we can understand why, because like this really, like this is a complete shit show, you know, and it's not really Rick's fault, but it is the kind of situation where someone is bound to be blamed or at least trusted less. And yeah, that one guy who just runs, you know, because this is not really, the Alexandrians are not used to this, you know, kind of thing. And yeah, fucking everybody gets injured in one way or another, you know, bites and twisted ankles and just, yeah. I think that does. Yeah, and I really appreciated that, yeah, Annie, in her dying moments, did manage to take out a couple of walkers at least. And, God, Nicholas. Glenn trusted him. And this is what, like, this motherfucker. God damn. But, yeah. I don't know. I mean, I guess it was 50-50. It was either going to be that or him really managing to redeem himself. And I do really appreciate that they did push, because, like, I was thinking, like, you know, right up until right before he did it, I was thinking, okay, maybe this is when he redeems himself, you know, because, like, yeah, but they built to it really, really effectively. And yeah, you know, every so often we get close-up of him and he's overwhelmed. He is not in Europe, so he is not whelmed, and certainly not underwhelmed. And yeah, there at the end, he just can't. And yeah, his last words, thank you. Poor Glenn. Yeah, I guess it was bound to be that he trusted someone too much, because he is a very trusting person. So, and I thought they handled it well. Like, it's gory, but it also doesn't feel like in bad taste or like rubbing it in. Yeah. think, but yeah, also the fact that, yeah, he trusted Nicholas because Nicholas was the one who knew this place, just, yeah. And I think that, yeah, and the thing about, like, but you have a wife, yeah, that's why I'm doing it. I have to protect my wife. And I know I've said it before, but that is positive masculinity, putting your wife's needs before your own, putting the needs of a woman you care about above your own. I feel really bad for Maggie. It's really gonna hurt when she realizes, to think, like, they've been together for so very long. Now he's dead, and that's wrong. I think that might bring us to the... I feel like there's at least one thing that I really... Yeah, I thought it worked well with Daryl, because, like, it is this thing of, like, he's doing what he thinks is right, and it is this conflict between, because, like, he really wants to protect, yeah, the people of Alexandria, and we know, he's not necessarily the person who's the most likely to stick around somewhere, to stay with the same, like, for a while. That wasn't what he did, you know. Yeah, so just I think that might bring us to, let's see, let's see, what was the other thing that I feel like there's at least, right, the them being up shit creek, uh, almost literally, was good detail. Yeah, that should slow walkers down. And I think that it was incredibly tense at the what's it called, the fence where they had to climb over. And honestly, like, I found myself thinking, I don't know, maybe this guy is gonna make it, but of course not quite. And let's see, there's definitely at least one more thing that I really wanted to make sure to say. They did a fantastic job inside the little like a pet supply place, something like that, and yeah, some walkers inside, banging, not like that, on the door. And they of course have to take those out, and then the other walkers heard, and it was really, really cool, busting the doors open, and just, yeah, guns blazing out there, just yeah. And right, the part where, so Michonne writes on her arm, you're going to make it, and then later she sees that on her arm, and it's just like, oh my god. I think that I feel like there's at least one more thing that I really wanted to make sure to say. Yeah, I think it's working really well that there is this theme of, do they trust Rick? It was there in the season opener, and again in this one. And I would not rule out that it's going to be further explored over the course of the season. I really do appreciate them. I don't know, maybe I say it too much, but the fact that Rick, like, when he is cool and collected, he is amazing to have, not just on your side, but leading you. But every so often, and we did see this, the first time that happened was, pretty early in the show, like, under certain circumstances, it can really go horribly wrong. So think that might more or less. I feel like there's at least one more thing that I really wanted to make sure to say about this episode. The yeah, I mean, ultimately, Nicholas, I don't know, he was at least trying, but ultimately it was a real shit the bed kind of situation. He, you know, got Glenn into this completely hopeless situation that just made everything worse. So, yeah, he kind of Trump-Iran'd this entire situation. I guess he trumped it. I think that should just be, Trump's name should be a verb for fucking something up. It should replace foobar, I think. And which I guess is not technically a verb, so it works. Yeah. It was really, really tense when so Rick manages to get back in the vehicle, and the guy attacks, and it went by kind of fast, but I think that might have been the one that Morgan spared, who grabbed a gun before running out of Alexandria. So yeah, that is a potential outcome of that. And the fighting, and then another guy comes from behind and grabs, and just, yeah. And you can really tell these, yeah, they are really not anywhere near as prepared, because like they don't even realize, dude, don't sneak up next to a car, because like, yeah, like someone inside would be able to see you in the rear view mirror. Is that what it's called? I'm not a car person. I'm not a transformer. But yeah, and that was really cool. He grabs the assault rifle and shoots through the side of the car with his side arm in his arm. Yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to the next. I can hardly wait to see how it's gonna, because like by now several of them are close to Alexandria. Certainly, otherwise Rick wouldn't have run into these wolves. That yeah, and so Rick, he turns the key, and we hear the struggling. Is that what it's called when the engine is struggling? Something along those lines, and yeah, when the car will not start, Rick looks like he'll shart. That's a problem.